When you smile, what does that say about the individual? There's something going on inside of them. We don't know exactly. We know that there's some form of joy, happiness, but there's something. The smile is just a mere reflection of the movement of the soul, the feelings that are inside, and not necessarily a real indicator of the depth of what's going on inside of the individual. A smile from one person can reflect one thing, another will be something very different. So what we see of a person is not necessarily what you get of the person. I don't mean that the smile is ingenuous. It's genuine. But yet, what that reflects is something in one person different than another person. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We are sharing letter 27, a letter that was written to the followers of Remendel Haradoker, who was living in the land of Israel since 1777, and 11 years later he passed away. A great mentor and a colleague of the Alter Rebbe, and writing a letter to those who are mourning in his passing. And he's speaking about the greatness of a righteous person. That a righteous person, as the Zohar says, after their passing, they are more found, they're more relevant, they're more accessible than they were in their lifetime. How do we understand that? How is that possible? Now, we gave some explanation that the teachings of the teacher continue. The Alter Rebbe's teachings continue. There are more students today of the Alter Rebbe's teachings than ever before. So in that sense, he's available, relevant, accessible in this world. But that's his teachings. And that's his disciples. There are more disciples of the Alter Rebbe today than ever before. More disciples of our Rebbe, who this year will be 30 years since his physical passing from this world. And yet there are more followers, more chassidim of the Rebbe than ever before. So how do we understand this? So we explain that a righteous person, their life is not life of the flesh. Not meaning that they're merely spiritual people. No. Their life is faith, love, and awe of God. That's what gives them life. That's what nourishes not merely their soul, but their very being. Now, when that tzaddik is alive on earth, those three attributes, faith, love, and awe of God, are contained in their vessel and garment, meaning in a physical place and in a body. And in a body. Therefore, during the lifetime of the righteous person, all of the disciples of that holy individual, they receive from that individual, but only a reflection of the attributes, a ray from them that radiates beyond the vessel, meaning beyond their body, that radiates from the tzaddik's body. And how's that? How's it radiate? Well, because he speaks. And he has thoughts. That's something that radiates beyond him to the followers, to the disciples. But that reveals only a minor ray of his attributes of love, awe, and faith. And remember, this is what makes up the righteous person. Thinking and speaking is only expression of who they are. Who are they? Faith, love, and awe of God. That's what they are. So how do we access that? Well, we can only access it through what they say. And even from what they think, there's some kind of access there too. But through their speaking, we access it. And that's why our sages say that we can only plumb the depths of their teachings after 40 years. Our master's teachings are, right? I'm going to have to teach this for a long time, Tanya, to finally plumb it and get it. That's all during the righteous person, the tzaddik, during their lifetime. But when the tzaddik, the righteous person, the Rebbe passes on, the nefesh part of their soul, which is the lowest part, which is connected to the body specifically, and to the body and its actions more specifically. So when it passes on, there is no more action of the body, but it's still connected to the body. It separates from the next level of the soul, which is the ruach, called spirit. We translate maybe spirit. So the nefesh remains connected to the body in the grave. The ruach level separates. During the lifetime, they're not separated. The ruach and nefesh, so therefore the ruach, meaning the spirit of the person, which is the faith, love, and awe of God, finds its expression through nefesh, through the speech of the individual, the actions of the individuals. But in passing, those two levels of the soul are separated. The ruach part goes to Gan Eden, to the Garden of Eden. That's where it goes. What does that mean? It means now that the ruach level of this righteous person, that is the embodiment of their faith, love, and awe of God, that's what the ruach part of the soul is, right? Neshama is the third level, which is the intelligence of the soul. But here is the emotive aspects of the soul, which is faith, love, and awe of God. It now is, its essence is in the Garden of Eden, because that's where the righteous person is found. And there, it's not constricted and confined by the body or by space in this world. It's not confined and constricted. So we have access now to that righteous person, to the core essence of their ruach level of the soul. But you might ask, but they're in the Garden of Eden, and I'm in this physical world. Garden of Eden is in this world, just in a different dimension. As our sages say about Jacob, our forefather, when he went into his father Yitzhak, Isaac, to get the blessings of the firstborn, if you recall, right? So it says, our sages say that he went in, the Garden of Eden entered with him when he got the blessings from his father Isaac, Yitzchak. Likewise, it says, it's brought down that the atmosphere of the Garden of Eden, Gan Eden, envelops every individual. What does it mean the atmosphere envelops a person? It means everything's recorded. All the good that you do, all the thoughts that are good, all the utterances, all of your divine worship, Torah study, prayers, good that you do, is recorded there. And later on, that becomes the garment of our soul that we're able to experience in the Garden of Eden. But that's not the point here. Likewise, by the way, in parentheses says the Alter Rebbe, likewise the contrary, heaven forfend, that the negative thoughts and the negative utterances and actions are recorded in the atmosphere of Gehenna, purgatory. Anyways, the point being over here is that right now in this world, Gan Eden is a reality here. We're just not so spiritual that we're attuned to it, right? The righteous are, though. So they sense, and that's how they have souls from the righteous come to them. As we have many stories of all of the Rebbes, of, those that passed on that came to them, including the Alter Rebbe when he was in prison, right? The Baal Shem Tov and the Mizitch Magid. In any case, the point over here is that we, the disciples, the followers of the righteous, of this righteous, particularly righteous person, right? Not the righteous in general, but the particular righteous individual, right? We have access to the core essence, ruach level of the righteous person who's passed on, who is in the Garden of Eden. Well, that envelops us. We have access to that. And what do we have access? To the essential aspect of their soul. The ruach level of the soul, because it now is separated from the nefesh, therefore it doesn't have to funnel itself through thought and speech. We can have direct access to the faith, love, and awe that their soul has embodied in their soul in Gan Eden. We don't merely get a glimmer. When they're alive, we got a glimmer because we got it through the nefesh level that came through the body, through what they spoke or what they thought. So we only got a glimmer of their faith, love, and awe of God. We had to get it through what they said to us. So and then through that, took 40 years to understand, let alone to have access to that love. But after they pass away, that ruach level, the essential faith, awe, and love of God, we have complete access to it. Completely. It extends to us, the disciples. Each disciple, each student, in accordance to the level and the bond and the closeness that they have to that righteous person during their lifetime when they were alive and after their passing. All based on love. How much love do you have for that righteous person? As the Zohar says, the spirit, ruach, of the inner heart's desire elicits the spirit from above. So to get, figuratively speaking, above, even though we spoke about Gan Eden is here, but it's above in the sense that it transcends our awareness, at least mine, right? That the disciples' heartfelt love for his master, for his righteous Rabbi, will then, based on as much as there is the love, that's how much you will draw from that righteous person, their faith, love, and awe of God, that it will imbue your personal soul. And therefore you got to prepare yourself. It takes intense effort. It's not a simple thing. An intense effort in that connection to the righteous in order to be able to have from them. And what are you getting from them? You're not getting a Ferrari. You're not getting feel good. You're getting to be good. Deeper faith in God. Deeper love and awe of God we're getting as a result. Because that's who and what they are. Right? And that's why our sages say if you've labored and you've claimed that you found because you worked hard to find it, then we can believe. But if we didn't labor, wow, how powerful. So much here, as in every day. How we think the opposite naturally. And what is that? When we have a physical person in front of us, we feel really connected. And here it's saying the opposite. Now, listen, we're all flesh and blood. We're simple folk. We're not such, at least I'm not such a spiritualist, but there's a great truth to that. And hence it could be, and this is unique to a connection to a Rebbe, that a loved one can pass away, and with time kind of, you forget more. You're not feeling the bond the same. Maybe from time to time you might be. But generally the bond, you know, time, life marches on. We move forward. Not that we forget, and not callous like that, but it's definitely not the same. With a Rebbe, it's the opposite. Because the more you're connected to the Rebbe, the more the truth of him is revealed to you through his teachings, through appreciating him more, and therefore the connection, the iskashrus, it becomes stronger. The bond is more powerful, not less, with time. Why? Because as we said over here, you got to work on it. You got to work on developing that bond, that love, through the study, through the learning, through the following the path, that enables us to feel the Rebbe's realness and presence in our lives stronger today than last year, than the year before. It's work, and but there's a truth to that. Well, we're human, so we're going to have ups and downs, but generally, a chassid's going to feel more attached and closer to the Rebbe today than he did a year ago or 5 years ago. Because he's the embodiment of faith, love, and awe of God. That's not how we look at our parents. That's not how we look, if they passed on, or to another loved one. It's more about the physical connection that we had with him, more about the good times we had, and well, those good times are gone. So if, your life with this person was that you did lunch together, well, you ain't doing lunch anymore once they pass on. But if it was about faith, love, and awe of God that they were imbuing you with, oh, well, that's a righteous person. That's the Rebbe. And that's why almost 30 years since Gimel Tammuz, and there are more students in the Rebbe's classroom today, right here today, than ever before, which is amazing and beautiful. Okay. Any questions? Are the righteous ever reincarnated? It said that Moshe was reincarnated from Seth. Yes. The righteous can be reincarnated, yes. Although the Alter Rebbe himself was a new soul, but yes, absolutely. Stephen, you have a question? Well, maybe you should have a question rather than a comment. That would probably be humble rather than making such a statement. Your physical reality terminates, but not your soul. Jane. Only the learned can bond from their ruach, and those are the righteous who passed away. Um, well, obviously, learning is, because learning gives you awareness, gives you knowledge, and from that feeds your heart. So, you know, that definitely is an element. But in the end, it's about the feeling of attachment to that righteous person, which is love. Right? So it will come from there. Leah. So if the righteous is reincarnated, that means their soul didn't complete their mission and they need to come back. Possibly. Yeah. Yep. Possibly. What that means, I don't know. Okay, on Instagram we have some questions. Alice, Livsha, can the love be retroactive if one doesn't know them in their lifetime? Yeah, it doesn't mean only in their lifetime. Yes, it can be after their lifetime. Absolutely. 100% correct. Yiddish Hamedillah. When Mashiach comes, will we feel him the same way as the righteous who pass on? So when Mashiach comes, we'll be like the righteous. Yes, absolutely. Was King David a tzaddik? Asked Lori. Yes, he was. He was a Baal Tshuva that became a tzaddik. He was the epitome of tshuva, but Baal Tshuva doesn't mean that you cannot become righteous. He was. Curious who decides who the righteous are. Ultimately, God will. The righteous don't see themselves as so much that, in a sense, on a certain way. Good question, Vicky. So there's a story of the original Rabbi, who was a contemporary of the Alter Rebbe, and one of his simple followers came to him and said, Rabbi, I just learned that there's 36 hidden righteous people. Obviously, you're not one of them because everybody knows you're righteous. So he said, oh, woe unto me if my righteousness is what you see. What we see of a person is minimal from what they are. They might smile, but you don't know what that smile means on the inside. It can be one thing one day and another thing another day. So we don't really know what's going on in a regular person. A righteous person, we only see them through our eyes, our perspective. And our perspective is not that of the righteous. So woe unto the righteous if we think they are what we see of them. So who decides? Well, we have to decide who we want to follow as the righteous person. And obviously it has to be someone who's following what God dictates in the Torah and so on. But in the end, everybody who chooses a Rebbe for them, it's their choice. Will there ever be another Rebbe or this? No. Well, there's this Rebbe, our Rebbe, and that's the final one. Okay. Actually, there's more questions, and I actually have to go because I have a funeral that I have to take care of. Even though we're going to have Rambam, but my apologies that I can't take any more questions. But tomorrow we'll continue our conversation. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, come to you for Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure sharing with you the Tanya.